From impeachments to inaugurations, if it's a political story, we are on the scene. The race for the White House is heating up.
Kamala, you're fired!
I say, bring it on.
If it's breaking news, we're live with the latest coverage. From the White House, the State Department, and Capitol Hill, we know the issues, but above all, we know the players to bring you the latest in-depth analysis on all the key stories that we're covering. I'm Eric Ham. Join me from Washington here on Firstpost America. Hello everyone, and thanks for tuning in. We are now just 7 days away from the U.S. election, and now many are wondering, was Donald Trump's most recent rally in New York's Madison Square Garden the October surprise? More on that and other stories from the campaign trail in just a minute, but first, a look at the latest headlines. Vice President Kamala Harris will deliver her final campaign speech in Washington, D.C. tonight. The closing arguments will be delivered from the same spot of the National Mall where Donald Trump helped incite a mob that attacked the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. U.S. intel agencies say Russia, China, and Cuba are targeting Kamala Harris with AI-generated images about her visit to states impacted by Hurricanes Helene and Milton. The images show Kamala Harris overlooking floods next to a sign falsely claiming misuse of taxpayer money. The United States warns Iran of severe consequences should they attack Israel. This as the Iranian parliament tables a bill to triple the country's military spending. French President Emmanuel Macron visits the North African country of Morocco. The two nations signed 22 agreements worth over $10 billion, including high-speed rail, wind farms, and green hydrogen projects. And Brazil's consumer rights group files lawsuits worth $525 million against Meta platforms and TikTok for failing to prevent minors from creating unsupervised accounts on the social media platforms. We begin with the race for the White House. More than 47 million Americans have already voted early with just 1 week left in the presidential election. On Monday, President Joe Biden cast his ballot early in his hometown of Wilmington, Delaware. The commander-in-chief stood in line for more than 30 minutes behind a man wearing a vulgar red hat, which resembled Donald Trump's classic MAGA merchandise. President Biden also responded to Donald Trump's recent rally in New York, where his supporters made racist comments about various minority groups in the United States.
It's embarrassing. It's just simply embarrassing. It's beneath any president, but that's what we're getting used to. That's why this election is so important. You know, most of the presidential scholars I've spoken to talk about the single most consequential thing about a president is character. Character. And he puts that in question every time he opens his mouth.
Meanwhile, on the other side of the country, fires at ballot drop boxes were reported in Oregon and Washington state, two traditionally Democratic states. The first fire was reported in Portland, Oregon, while the second one was discovered in Vancouver, which is the largest city in Washington's 3rd congressional district. Authorities say the Portland fire was extinguished quickly and only 3 ballots were burned. However, the Vancouver incident destroyed hundreds of ballots, the count of which is still unclear. In both cases, the ballot boxes had a fire suppression system inside, but it failed terribly in Vancouver for reasons unknown. Now, police say the two fires appear to be similar in nature due to the use of suspicious devices and the presence of an identical vehicle at both crime scenes.
These incidents are similar in nature. No one was injured in any of these incidents. We're working with our partners across the river here in Portland and sharing information with our federal law enforcement partners in hopes of bringing this to a successful conclusion.
Meanwhile, election authorities say they are trying to reach voters whose ballots have been destroyed so they can recast those ballots.
Please do not let today's incidents or anything that happens between now and Election Day to keep you from expressing yourself with your vote. Our democracy depends on you, and you can depend on us to keep this process safe and secure.
Moreover, enough evidence has in fact been recovered to show that Monday's fires are connected to a similar incident earlier this month. On October 8th, an incendiary device was placed at different ballot boxes in Vancouver. However, no ballot was damaged. The Federal Bureau of Investigation is running a parallel probe into the incidents, as these are not the only such cases. In fact, just last week, a person was arrested in Phoenix, Arizona after a fire was set to a mailbox, damaging around 20 electoral ballots. Arizona is one of the 7 battleground states that could determine who will win the race for the White House. And American law enforcement agencies remain on high alert as domestic extremists could attempt to target more ballot boxes to disrupt voting or vote counting. And the uproar from Donald Trump's racist rally at Madison Square Garden on Sunday is not dying down. In fact, it's only getting worse with just 1 week to go until Election Day. Comments by Donald Trump's loyalists on Puerto Rico and the Latino community have severely misfired as the race enters the home stretch. Latino and Puerto Rican celebrities, including Jennifer Lopez, Ricky Martin, and Bad Bunny, have now endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris. The offensive remarks have angered millions of Puerto Ricans, not just in the United States, but even those living on the island.
Comments I heard the other day, man, really affected me. And yeah, I really feel disrespected about it. We helped build this country too, like many other people in this country, from black people and everybody else that really participated. And then to be smacked in the face like that with type of comment, like, and we're the most loving and peaceful people on this planet. And then to call us garbage. Yeah, you go to Puerto Rico, you're gonna see how beautiful everything is. Down to the people, to the mountains, everything's beautiful. The food, the culture. So I really don't understand where this comes from. It just sounds like hate.
Now, Vice President Kamala Harris has also called out her Republican rival as she termed the Madison Square Garden rally as un-American and highly distasteful.
Donald Trump this is not new about him, by the way. What he did last night is not a discovery. It is just more of the same and maybe more vivid than usual. Donald Trump spends full time trying to have Americans point their finger at each other, fans the fuel of hate and division, and that's why people are exhausted with him.
Now, to be clear, there are over 3.5 million residents living on the island of Puerto Rico, but they are not permitted to vote in the U.S. presidential elections. However, Puerto Ricans and their family members who live in any of the 50 states or in Washington, D.C. are eligible to vote in the presidential race. In fact, Puerto Ricans are the second largest Hispanic voting group, with nearly 6 million registered voters living in mainland United States. And with nearly 500,000 registered Puerto Rican voters living in the crucial swing state of Pennsylvania, Donald Trump's racist rally could severely backfire among the Latino community. Now, instead of apologizing to the Puerto Rican and Latino communities, Donald Trump's running mate J.D. Vance has defended the racist comments and asked the communities to learn to take a joke.
I haven't seen the joke. Maybe it's a stupid racist joke, as you said. Maybe it's not. I haven't seen it. I'm not going to comment on the specifics of the joke. But I think that we have to stop getting so offended at every little thing in the United States of America. I'm so over it. Can we all just take a chill pill and take a joke from time to time? This is ridiculous.
Now, Donald Trump, up until those comments, had been making enormous inroads with Latino voters, particularly Latino men. However, the fallout from Donald Trump's racist Madison Square Garden rally could end up being the October surprise that no one was expecting, as Puerto Ricans and Latinos get ready to respond with their votes. And now, moving to one of the biggest issues of the election, immigration. Washington recently deported Indian nationals who were living in the United States illegally. The Department of Homeland Security said a chartered plane carrying the immigrants left for India on October 22nd, and the operation was conducted in coordination with the Indian government. Now it's still unclear how many Indians were in fact deported.
Indian nationals without a legal basis to remain in the United States are subject to swift removal, and intending migrants should not fall for the lies of smugglers who proclaim otherwise.
Now, according to the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, more than 90,000 Indians have tried to enter America illegally between October of 2023 and September of 2024. And Washington has ramped up its crackdown on not just illegal Indian immigrants, but also individuals from other countries. In the fiscal year of 2024, the Department of Homeland Security removed or returned over 160,000 people and operated nearly 500 international repatriation flights to more than 145 countries. Meanwhile, Mexico has increased apprehensions of migrants ahead of the U.S. presidential election. Over the last 10 months, Mexican immigrants agents have been sending illegal migrants onto buses to countries south, far from the U.S. border. Reports say these measures aim to frustrate migrants so much that they eventually give up the dream of crossing into the United States. The clampdown reportedly followed pressure from the White House after immigration emerged as one of the most heated issues for Americans this election. Vice President Kamala Harris says the Biden administration has been tough on border issues.
To reduce illegal border crossings, I will take further action to keep the border closed between ports of entry. Those who cross our borders unlawfully will be apprehended and removed and barred from re-entering for 5 years. We will pursue more severe criminal charges against repeat violators. And if someone does not make an asylum request at a legal point of entry and instead crosses our border unlawfully, they will be barred from receiving asylum. While we understand that many people are desperate to migrate to the United States, our system must be orderly and secure.
However, Donald Trump has used more violent language toward immigrants and has promised the largest deportation program if reelected to the White House.
The United States is now an occupied country, but it will soon be an occupied country no longer. Not going to be happening. Not going to be happening. November 5th, 2024, 9 days from now, will be Liberation Day in America. It's going to be Liberation Day. On day one, I will launch the largest deportation program in American history. I'm going to get the criminals out. I will rescue every city and town that has been invaded and conquered, and we will put these vicious and bloodthirsty criminals in jail. We're going to kick them the hell out of our country as fast as possible.
Mexico's new president, Claudia Sheinbaum, says she will work closely with the next president of the United States to solve the immigrant crisis. However, the Mexican Foreign Ministry says its migration strategy is unrelated to the United States election. Now it remains to be seen if the reduction in border crossings will help Kamala Harris win, or if Donald Trump's violent rhetoric against immigrants catapults him back to the Oval Office. And Donald Trump has a new plan, and it involves Elon Musk. At a rally in Atlanta, Georgia, Trump proposed to create a Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, and he wants Elon Musk to lead it. The Republican says only Musk can reduce the ballooning national fiscal deficit. The Tesla CEO has promised to get the government off people's back and even out of their pockets. But can the tech billionaire really tackle Washington's budget? Our report has more.
At a packed rally in Atlanta, Georgia, Donald Trump made a surprise announcement. He has a job lined up for none other than Elon Musk.
His name is Elon Musk.
That's right. The billionaire entrepreneur and ex-owner might soon take on a role in Trump's next administration. And it's no ordinary position. It's the head of a newly proposed Department of Government Efficiency, which Trump has already given a catchy acronym to, DOGE. The former president, standing before thousands of cheering supporters, described Musk as the right man to tackle what he sees as wasteful government spending.
We're going to win, and we're going to bring Elon in. Anybody can land a rocket the way he landed that sucker. He doesn't need to be secretary. He doesn't want to be secretary. He wants to be a man that can cut costs, have you live even better. It's amazing that, he just wants the country. That's why he endorsed me very strongly. Elon Musk, the guy is incredible. And he endorsed me you know where he is right now? He's campaigning in Pennsylvania. He's been doing it since he landed that crazy rocket ship.
United States of America, Elon Musk!
So what is Tesla CEO's big plan? Musk, in a massive rally in New York, promised to trim down the federal budget by $2 trillion.
You're being taxed. All government spending is taxation. So whether it's direct taxation or all government spending, it either becomes inflation or it's direct taxation. Your money is being wasted, and the Department of Government Efficiency is going to fix that.
And while Musk is known more for SpaceX and Tesla federal budgeting, he's confident that he can streamline government spending somehow.
America's just not just going to be great. America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing! You guys are awesome. Honestly, this is like... Yeah. I mean, this is the kind of positive energy that America is all about.
As it turns out, the ex-owner's commitment isn't just about the budget. He's already poured in over $132 million into supporting Trump and other Republican candidates. And with his influence growing, Musk's involvement in the 2024 election has become almost as unconventional as his rocket launches. But while Musk promises massive cuts, there's one small catch, and it is the question of feasibility and an explanation of just where he'll start slicing. Now let's face it, while Musk may talk about the government like he's ready to turn it into a tech startup, Washington isn't exactly a Silicon Valley boardroom. As Election Day nears, Musk's name has added a unique twist to Trump's campaign. The two have crafted a vision of government downsizing that's making headlines. And in Georgia, a critical swing state, Donald Trump is determined to defend what he calls the American dream against Democratic rival Kamala Harris. So what's next for the billionaire? Will Musk actually accept Trump's job offer and lead DOGE? Only time will tell. With millions already casting early votes, the election remains a close race. The real question might just be, can Musk go from CEO to budget czar without running Washington into the ground?
Yeah.
And in the heart of the 2024 race, an unexpected rivalry is turning heads, not between red and blue, but between young men and young women. It's a split that's putting Kamala Harris and Donald Trump on an unusual battlefield for Gen Z's votes. Kamala Harris is leaning into equality and change, capturing the maximum support from women. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is rallying young men, but is still falling short in wooing them. Our final report explores which way the internet generation is leaning in this crucial election.
As the 2024 U.S. presidential election nears, an unexpected divide is brewing that isn't about red states or blue states, but young men and women who are split over which candidate speaks their language. The stakes couldn't be higher, and it seems the divide is deeper than ever. On one side, we have Kamala Harris, who's capturing the hearts and minds of young women across the country.
It's Gen Z in the
and I am so proud of you. And everyone, let us applaud.
Many are drawn to her messages of equality, choice, and a future that reflects their values.
I love that we have a future president who is so amazing and really speaks up for us and cares about the issues that matter. You know, being a woman, of course, I want reproductive rights, and I don't really want people to have control of that. I want to have a choice. So that's important.
Kamala Harris is a big thing because I think our community in a national scale is very underrepresented. And I think that Kamala Harris and her values aligns with people in the lowrider community.
In an attempt to woo Gen Z, Harris's team has also rolled out one of the most innovative election campaigns of modern times. The Democratic nominee has embraced social media, streaming platforms, podcasts, and online influencers to target voters who largely ignore traditional press. And matching the voters' words, polls show young women are overwhelmingly in Harris's corner. In a recent NBC poll, at least 59% of young women favored Harris over former President Donald Trump, who drew 26% support. However, the former president is not far behind. Young men are rallying behind Donald Trump, who's promising a very different America.
Together we will make America powerful again, wealthy again, healthy again, strong again, proud again, safe again. And we will make America great again. Gonna make it so great. God bless you, Michigan. God bless you.
This rhetoric isn't a new version of Trump. It's the same real estate mogul embracing manly topics from sports to business to tough guy politics. And it seems like it's working for the Gen Z boys.
I'm here for Trump. He is a great man. He'll bring our country back the way it should be. We were here last time, and we just found it was very important to be here again to support everyone.
I think he's just really powerful. He gives us a lot of confidence within talking to other world leaders, and he knows how not to start wars, and I think he's just badass. He's awesome.
In an attempt to please young voters in the final weeks of the campaign, the 78-year-old even danced for YouTube hits at Pennsylvania and sat down with comedians to discuss the merits of cocaine. His interview with Joe Rogan on Friday gave Trump one of his biggest online audiences of the campaign. Another NBC poll found that among young men, Harris leads Trump by only 2 points, 42% to 40%. This creates a surprising battle for a youth vote that has historically leaned left. Gen Z has decided, and this presidential election, they are informed. While the vice president is avoiding any direct mentions of her identity as a woman, some Democrats are quietly acknowledging hidden sexism in the electorate. And on the other hand, young men see Trump as a voice they've been waiting to hear. And yet, as Election Day approaches, the final impact of this gender split remains uncertain. With both candidates heading to Texas to fire up their base, it's clear. America's future may rest on this generational rift. Will it be the voice of women rallying for change or men pushing back against it?
That brings us to the end of the show. We certainly thank you for spending time with us today. We look forward to seeing you right back here again tomorrow. Thanks everyone for watching. From impeachments to inaugurations, if it's a political story, we are on the scene. The race for the White House is heating up.
Kamala, you're fired.
I say, bring it on.
If it's breaking news, we're live with the latest coverage. From the White House, the State Department, and Capitol Hill, we know the issues, but above all, we know the players to bring you the latest in-depth analysis on all the key stories that recovery. I'm Eric Ham. Join me from Washington here on First Post